Hello Year 10s! Hope everybody is keeping safe and well and been enjoying the video lessons so far. So your mentor should be checking up with you, and so far you should have produced a collage of physical skills. You should have done a mnemonic for expressive skills, and also then we should have done a little clip, a phrase of you performing to Beethoven's Symphony 5, which showed the musicality, which was that little mountain biker clip. If you have struggled to get onto that YouTube clip, you need to have emailed me, lmeek@johnfernie.org, and I'll send you a more direct link. Also, you will be doing a test at the end of all of these lessons, and you need to have watched this one before you attempt the test. So week 5's lesson will come after the test, so obviously I haven't put anything in that one that's going to be in the test, but everything up to the end of this one will be in it, guys. Okay, so last week we had a really good look at, the other thing you should have given me is obviously this that I'm going to talk about next. Okay then, so this is the recap from last lesson. So this is a test of your fact knowledge, and there are 7 technical skills that you should have been able to recall. So here's our little picture to help us remember. Mr. Darts as the mnemonic, and you should be able to remember those skills. So pause the video now, everybody, and when you are ready, we will bring up the answers. Pause now. Okay guys, so here are the answers. I'm hoping you got them all right, or at least 5 out of the 7, I would say. And what we then would like you to do, obviously, is if you're in school with your mentor, you could recall those to your mentor, and then talk about how we used them and the understanding of those to answer the 6-mark question. So they should also, in your mentor sessions, be asking you for your answers for the 6-mark question. Obviously you need to relate it to those. So I'm hoping it goes in, because I would probably say they are the harder ones to remember. Well, certainly they're harder to answer a question on. So I think we did really well last week together to get those answers going. So let's move on. Quite a similar format this week as we did in that one. So you should recognise things as we go through. Moving on. And we tried to put it into a 6-mark question. So the exam question, and you should have emailed that to me, and like I said, be showing it to your mentor. So it looked a bit like this. I'm not going to reread all of that now, but you could pause it, check your knowledge. You should have then had a go at writing your own response into more of an essay style 6-mark question. We're going to follow a similar format today for this one, but we're going to focus in on the final of our skills, which are mental skills, attributes and the processes. This did come up in the exam paper last year and caught some of them out. So let's go through it, guys. So mental skills focus, here we go. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to identify 4 mental skills. Now this is what fooled them. Some of our students, they got confused with mental skills during a performance, and then you've also got an understanding of mental skills and attributes that can be worked through. So I don't know why I've repeated process twice there, but it should be worked through as a process. So how using them, working on them is going to improve your performance. So task 1 of the new lesson is to copy down the next 4 slides. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to not talk over them. I want you to write down the skill, and I want you to copy that out. So this is the first slide. There's 2 ways to remember this. My year 11s last year, I've said before, but we always like to link things back to food because that's how we seem to remember them better. So we did a little saying which was choose cheesy chips, mmm. So that's the first one you could remember, or you might just call it MC3. So then you know there's one M word to remember, and then there's 3 C's to remember. So whichever way you prefer to remember those, you need to know them. So here they come on the next few slides to write down in a little bit more detail. Pause the slides, guys, and then move on when you're ready. I'm just going to flick through, but you please pause the slides on each one. Okay, so they are the first main 4 mental skills, and you get assessed in them in all of your performances. So in your set solos, your duo trio, if we're able to do that this year, and your choreography, they will want to see those skills appearing. Now this one is about mental skills during the process. So it's about how we work on them and how we embed them into the final performance. So there's another little acronym over here for you. I call it an acronym. People, I think it's a mnemonic again. My students plan rehearsal really carefully. That could be the way you remember them for yours. So write those down for me, please. And then again, we're going to go through a slide with each one explaining what they are, and I want you to write those down. So mental rehearsal is going through the dance in your mind, visualizing the performance. I want you to write down all of these next slides, and then I will come back to you once we've done that. So pause each one, write them down. Okay, this is another crucial one to write down. So these are some ideas. I think this one, you know, the mental skills are quite straightforward as to why they might make the routine appear better and your performance better, why we need them. I don't think it is too difficult to kind of fathom it out. So if this question did come up, I think it'd be quite nice. So I've just put a little circle which says section B. But I'm gonna shush back to section A in a second. But these are some of the reasons that you will need effective mental skills. So you could also write that slide down. It's quite a lot of writing today, but I think it's very important you've got this down. You could either be writing this in your fact books and then we'll transfer it to your exercise book, or as I know you've got your exercise books because I gave them out to you, you could put them straight in there. So here's just back to section A. So the kind of questions that might come up in the section A, you know they're the smaller questions in section A of the written paper. It might, for example, say name 2 mental skills during performance. So we might say commitment and confidence. It might say name 2 mental skills during the process. So you've got to look for them key word changes and differences. That's what confused people before. So if we're talking about the process, you might mention planning of rehearsal, you might mention discipline in rehearsal, you might mention systematic repetition. That's something you would do as part of the process to improve mental skills. It might ask you to define what a specific mental skill, which we've just been through. That was the writing in red, the definitions of each, and then why we need it. So they would be section A questions, but last week we focused on section B, so we're going to do the same. So you might want to shush back to the previous slide, just to have another recap of why they're important. And then what I've done is I've worked through a section B 6-mark question for you again. So let's begin. So the question from the exam board is, explain how the use of mental skills and attributes contributed to the overall effectiveness of your performance in one of the set phrases. Now, you've only done breathe so far, so I've just put in brackets breathe, but they'd leave you to choose whether you use breathe or shift. So first of all, you choose the one you know the best. It's worth 6 marks, so you need to be making 6 points. So what I've done is I've used the 4 main mental skills, and then I've added some in from the process. And I've given an example from breathe for each of them. And then the really important part, if we remember from last week, you need to name it, you need to give the example, and then you explain it. And let's imagine it was the same question about mental skills, but it was in my own choreography. I would do the same process of how to answer it. I would name the skill, I would give the example from my choreo, and then I would explain how it made my performance more effective. And that is the finishing touch that you have to get the full mark. So what I'd like you to do is pause that there, have a good read of it rather than me going on and on and on, because I've already been talking on this video for over 10 minutes. And then we will discuss it and what I want you to do in a second on the next slide. Okay, so what I want you to do is once you've read through the chart on the previous slide, I want you to copy it down. All the writing today, I know it's a lot for this week, but it will help to embed it into your brain so you can then complete this final slide. Only attempt this once you have written the previous one down and obviously been through all of the other slides. You might want to go back through them just to make sure you've remembered everything, check your notes. You might want to start putting things onto cue cards if you wish to do that already. And then this is like your mini test at the end of it. So it's your fact recall like we normally do. And the final lesson next week, we will obviously start with these like we have been in all of them. So you should be able to, 1, name 4 mental skills. There are 2 ways you could remember it. 1, I think this suits our group better, MC3. I think that will be the one for us. Or it could be cheesy chips. Go, name them, people. Do this now. And then the second and final question for this week is I want you to name the 6 mental skills that you can use as part of the process. So think about that as though you're in a rehearsal environment. What would the M stand for? The S, the P, the R, the R, the C. Get that done now, everybody. And job is a good one. Hope you've enjoyed it today. And I will look forward. I'm going to start putting the test together. So it should test you on all of the 4 previous lessons, including this one. And then there'll be one more to go next week. But please get in touch if you're not sure of anything. Nobody contacted me on Teams this week. I'm there on a Tuesday. I'm there 9 till 3. Sometimes I have to bob off to go in, sort my son some lunch out and various things, keep him entertained with his homeschooling too. But it notifies me. So I'll get a little ping and I'll know that somebody's there. Or email me at lmeek@johnfernley.org, which some of you have been. It's so nice to know that you're out there and actually watching things and getting involved and doing stuff. So also obviously your mentor should be checking all of this with you too. So I will know very soon who's done what because you will complete your test and the test results will speak for themselves. So get swatted up, guys, on all these lessons, and I look forward to seeing you on lesson 5. Bye bye, guys.